Hi, and welcome to MindShifters Radio. And today is Monday, February the 16th, 2026. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, dear heart, and welcome everybody. Delighted and honored that you're here and that we get to head into the next level of conversation around this awesome first century Aramaic technology. And I see that Carrie is with us, and Carrie had contacted me with a question. So I'm going to just say, Carrie, welcome. We haven't seen you on the show in a while. Glad you're here, and the floor is yours.
Wow. Are we doing video on or video off?
Whichever you would prefer.
Okay. I saw
One a
Jeannie
shoe on or one a shoe off.
I know I was just swimming, so I just went and put some regular clothes on so I could turn the video on. Anyway, I saw Jeannie a minute ago. She looked very nice. Hi, Jeannie, if you're there.
Well, you should get her to hold up the
I
new
see her.
item.
Yes, go ahead, Jeannie. I can hit.
Hold it up, sweetie. Can you get a little closer to
book, Healing Generations, One Breath at a Time. And Carrie, you've disappeared, your audio and video both.
Gorgeous. Wow, that's gorgeous, Jeannie.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm all wet because we were just out swimming. But anyway,
Cool.
That's really cool. Is it in Kindle yet? Because
Not
down
yet.
here, Kindle is good.
What they did was they printed one book and sent it to me for me to go through and make any edits or changes.
Right.
And today's a holiday in the US, so it'll be tomorrow before I can resubmit with my changes, and then it goes to press. And it will be available on Book Baby Bookstore, Amazon, Kindle, Barnes and Noble, Books A Million. It'll be everywhere. So
yay.
you can order a signed copy from me by sending me money by Zelle or Venmo. And then when we're getting a stock of it sent here, and I've got several people who supported in the beginning to help with the initial production and everything. And so I've got several people that I'll be signing books and mailing them out.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're excited.
Very, very,
Where do
very
you need
cool.
to add in that aside from Amazon, et cetera, they can get the book from you directly?
Right. And so I'll be sending out an email probably after Tuesday, after I've sent the changes to Book Baby and find out when it's actually going into print and when they're going to have it distributed. But I'll be sending out an email telling everybody how they can find it. And it'll also be on their website as well. So.
Yay, congratulations. And I know you've done amazing work amalgamating how we clear our generations. It's so important.
Yeah, for sure.
Good stuff. How many millions of people is it in my generation? Just me.
Yeah. And if it's not cleared out, we carry it forward to the next generation until somebody says, okay, I'm going to face it.
Clean it up. Yeah.
And the book is very raw. I had gotten married at the age of 16 and stayed in that marriage for 3 years and was physically and mentally abused every day for 3 years. And then once I got out, it was like, okay, I can just pretend like it never happened, ignore it, go on with life. And you can't do that. So this is my coming out. I actually had never told anybody until Michael. And so when my brothers were we had put a video out on Facebook and my brothers were all like, congratulations, so proud of you and da-da-da. So I sent them a private text and said, just as a forewarning, it's got information in it that nobody has heard except Mom. I had told her and she read part of it before she passed away. And so this book has been going on 10 years in the making. So I'm excited.
That's awesome and very courageous. And the other thing is, Jeannie, I mean, I have so many friends who had abuse in their childhoods, that it's unbelievable. I mean, I used to think,
unbelievable is the word, isn't it?
I used to think my parents were tough, and then when I began realizing the kind of lives other people had, I thought, Oh my gosh, I had such a good childhood
Yeah.
because I mean, there was verbal abuse in our household, but not at the level of stuff that so many people have had to deal with. And I'm sure so many people will receive healing from reading your book.
Yeah. Yeah. It
It's
starts out.
interesting back. Excuse you. Go ahead, sweetie.
We did a breath session. I don't even remember what year it was now. It was around 2014, I guess. And we didn't know until later that we were actually, the facility we were on was on an ancient burial ground. And I had a breath session that I was a Native American girl, and she had been
Wow.
captured by white men and was abused and used and prostituted. And so then, coming forward into my life from 16 to 19, and it was almost like I was replicating her life. And it was like, we've all got, if we go far enough back, we all have Aboriginal beginnings.
Right.
And it's like the atrocities that were done to them that they didn't know how to deal with or face. And, so anyway, yeah, it's very revealing and very out there, and just kind of putting my life out there on the line. So it's, yeah.
As you said, Carrie, the shock of hearing what goes on in people's lives. Recently, Jeannie hurt her foot, and so we ended up at the hospital getting an X-ray. And the intake nurse, one of the questions she asked was, "Are you safe in your home?" And then shared with her that, if I remember correctly, Jeannie, it was 4 out of 10 women they asked that question of here in this modern city say no. I mean, it's just like unconscionable. 4 out of 10 women, I'm not safe in my home. And then you look at the children who are a product of those kinds of homes and what's going on in the world. And it's crazy. And, what Jeannie's done is she's gone in at a really gut level, gritty. And it's the first written record that I know of actually using the first century Aramaic tools of Yeshua and demonstrating exactly right at the gut level how they work. It's the first written record of that in existence. So I'm pretty excited about what's going to happen as it gets out there in the public eye.
Nice. Boy, that's amazing. I have a couple of friends I might have you send the book to when you get it.
It will be soon.
There was like the second chapter in the book, as I'm telling my story, and it's like, who am I? Who did I think I was? And it goes through everything from nobody to used goods to a burden to a fraud, all of these things. And then later in the book is a chapter where I take each of those distorted thoughts, and I actually do a worksheet in the book on that thought.
And that's so great. You could even decipher that because you've done the work.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It goes through step by step, and it shows the Hydra effect, how, we uncover one issue and it pops up 2 or 3 others. And, I explain the mind shifters in it, and the breath. Of course, since it's one breath at a time, the breath is in there a lot. And so anyway, introducing the tools. Michael's name is in there probably more than mine.
That is great.
So it's exciting.
Yes. Very. Documentation of our knowledge and our growth and our wisdom, and to share with others. So important.
In hopes
Speaking of which,
that it opens a space where other people, if they read it and they feel like they're stuck and can't get out and there's no way to change, that it gives them hope.
Yes. Very good.
open tools. And speaking of written records of the process, how is your writing going? What's happening in your world in that regard? For those who don't know Carrie, she wrote the book 21st Century Superhuman.
Yes, several volumes.
And several volumes, yeah.
I'll tell you really quick. I had a thought when Jeannie was talking, Michael. What was the name of that movie we watched last night? The Blind Side?
Yes, Blind Side.
Blind Side. I know you like movies, Michael, that to kind of show.
Sandra Bullock.
it's a Sandra Bullock movie, and it's about a football player. It's a true story, but talk about coming out of abuse and out of a childhood that was just unbelievable, and then having somebody help him and grow into
We've
a better
actually seen
person.
it. It
Oh,
is
you have?
fabulous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's powerful.
Yes.
It's been a long time, and we saw it when it first came out, but we'll
Yeah.
have to look at it again.
Yeah. So that's a sidetrack. But what I'm
There's
working
another
on right.
one.
Go
There's
ahead, Jeff.
another. Seeing how you brought up movies, there's another one we watched recently that you will probably identify with your Middle Eastern heritage. It's called Not Without My Daughter, and
I've
it's really
seen that.
powerful.
Yes.
That's just definitely breathing material and worksheet material.
I'm crying as you tell it.
Breathing with you.
It
Yeah,
is.
breathing with
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yes.
Been there, undone that, right?
Yes.
And it
Well,
looks like maybe another layer ready to move.
yeah.
So breathing with you.
Yes, thank you. Well, let me say this. I want to tell you about what book I'm working on right now, but also the reason I wanted to call in today is to talk about what the word judgment maybe is in Aramaic. And I know kind of really all the forgiveness work sort of surrounds that, but is there anything directly in the Aramaic? And I'd like to talk about that because I think in our lives, I just read, there's a guy named Stephen Davis, and he wrote a book called Butterflies Are Free to Fly, which I love. And it's kind of about living in a quantum reality. And so his most recent book is called What Are We Doing Here? And when I was a kid, I used to, like in fifth grade, I'd write on my papers in school, why and what are we doing here? And, it's always been my big question, even as a child. And it's a really good book, but he talks about judgment being part of the matrix of this reality. We are here to clear our judgments. And as we clear our judgments, there is road noise here where I am. So tell me if it's bad or
You're
anything.
fine. You're
Okay.
loud and clear. No interference
Okay.
at all.
And but I started thinking about the Aramaic and wondering if there's a word so that if we don't clear our judgments, they're going to come up again and again. We're going to keep repeating the vibrational pattern inside of us until we can clear it. And I just thought it'd be a fun thing to have a conversation about. And then after we talk about that, maybe I'll tell you what book I'm working on because it's another subject.
Cool. Okay. Well, I see that
Right.
Terry Bowling has come in, and
Yeah.
it's interesting you mentioned that quote about, or the book title, Butterflies Can Fly. Terry does a Substack, and he just put that in his most recent Substack. So we're on
Nice.
we're on the right track here.
Yeah. Hi, Terry. Very good. So, yeah, I'd love to hear from you, your thoughts, Michael, on judgment.
Yeah. Well, just to kind of lay a context to precede the answer to that, the mindset of the Aramaic mind compared to our minds is so different that even starting to comprehend is a major process. And it that applies to virtually every idea. I've been actually working on a metaphor for understanding that. And, imagine that we go back to 1700, maybe 1710 or so, and the stagecoach has got 6 horses attached to it, and it's, riding out on the plain. And we talk to this person who's driving the stagecoach about the Mercedes with its air conditioned and heated seats and its computer control and its rubber tires and its 1,100 horses. And this guy who's driving this, stagecoach with 6 horses on it is trying to put this in his mind. And where does it go? Where does it fit? It's so different. And so it's a major shift to get out of what we've been programmed and brainwashed with. There's the Aramaic cosmology has a certain taste to it and a certain source, and its source is that intelligence entered our human forms with our first breath. That physiology has no intelligence whatsoever. If it's programmed to do something, it can do it, but there's no intelligence there. It's just a piece of dust. But that when breath entered, intelligence, capacity, and the earliest translation that I've been able to find on that comes from a text called the Targum Onkelos, and it doesn't speak about the Creator's breath, just being the breath of life and man became a living soul, but it actually speaks about that breath. With it, we became a speaking being, which of course brings along with it all of the things to do with human intelligence and capacity. And so to go back to move from what we've been brainwashed in this Greek cosmology, when the Greeks took over, and there are many scholars who will tell you that, it was all written down in Greek first. Just that idea alone is so silly, but most of Western scholarship, and I'm talking, the largest universities, et cetera, proclaim that, this is theirs. And so to shift back to that mindset out of the one that we've been given through this Greek cosmology with its, its gods that rape their own mothers and slaughter their own children, et cetera, we've got a major shift to take. And this word judgment, I think, ties in with that really, really deeply. In the first century Aramaic, the word, the idea of judgment comes from is the word dina, and it's a word that implies a process of setting things right and restoring balance. Not the Greek-oriented punitive legal verdict, in Yeshua's language, this linguistic shift moves us from a distant, angry judge to a restorative straightening out of what is crooked.
Wow, very good.
In the Roman legal system, it was debt and punishment. And the Aramaic mindset around this idea was, the emphasis was that of conciliation and reconciliation. And so the Aramaic society was a pastoral society, not an industrial, commercial one like ours. A judge, rather than meting out punishment and dispensing judgment, as we've come to think of the position of a judge, was more like a shepherd or a mediator tending to and restoring harmony within the community. And then Yeshua's, the statement where he talks about what's been interpreted as judgment, he's really reflecting on the damage we do to ourselves out of our unconscious creations when we fall into this legalistic state of judgment. And when he says, judge not lest you be judged, he's really enlightening us on the reciprocal law of creation, that if we focus on an energy, even if it's the energy we don't want, that literally on a quantum level, we're inserting that energy into creation. If I say, I don't ever want anybody to yell at me again, I just set up the frequency in my creative process of yelling at me. Right. Who's going to show up? Who's going to resonate into that? What quantum potential does that collapse into our experience? So realizing that focusing is a creative act, in the Aramaic, what he's saying is that if we stand in this state of placing judgment on someone, then that becomes the very reality that we inhabit. We're not judged for our actions, but by the nature of the standard we create, we set up what happens in our lives.
Exactly. Yes.
And there's another word that is paired with that Aramaic concept oftentimes, and that's the word in Aramaic ken. And it's paired with judgment to show that the goal, and the word is grace, and our word English is the closest word we get, would be paired with judgment, so that the implication was always to return to favor. Again, not to mete out punishment.
Nice. Very nice.
And then the other passage that comes to mind that fits in there is the one where Yeshua says, why do you see the speck that's in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that's in your own eye? I.e., if you're upset and your mind tells you you're upset about something out there, of course you see the brother who has a speck, but the upset is the log in one's own eye. The judgment we make is from what's going on inside of us. And then because, pretty much all of us by the age of 4 in this culture were brainwashed into becoming card-carrying members of the one world universal religion of blame.
Yes.
Whatever I'm feeling inside of me, whatever's going on inside of me, my judgment is somebody else's fault. And so that idea that, here, if I'm railing, raging, blaming someone else for the upset that's going on inside of me, I'm in denial, I'm in dissociation, I'm in projection. And yes, my brother may have a speck in his eye, but the upset, the pain, the disturbance, the railing against others, the whole game that goes on there is the hypocrisy of denying that what I'm feeling is what's going on inside of me, that it belongs to me. It doesn't belong to anybody else. Though we've become experts in this culture making up stories about others and really need that restorative judgment, that, the grace link to judgment that brings us back to favor, brings us back to connectedness.
Carrie, can I ask
So
you a
there are
question?
some of the thoughts I have in that.
Yeah, Carrie, you from Kauai? Do you live in
No.
Kauai? Oh, okay.
Mm-mm.
I thought you might be in Kauai. I wasn't sure.
No. Are you in Kauai? I'm in Mexico.
Oh, in Mexico. Okay. I thought you
Yeah.
might be in Kauai. So it's interesting, Michael, because today, A Course in Miracles, lesson 236, I rule my mind, which I alone must rule. I have a kingdom I must rule. At times, it does not seem I am the king at all. It seems to triumph over me and tell me what to think and what to do and feel. And yet it has been given me to serve whatever purpose I perceive in it. My mind can only serve. Today I give it service for the Holy Spirit to employ, and she sees fit. I thus direct my mind, which I alone can rule, and thus I set it free to do the will of God. Father, my mind is open to your thoughts, and closed today to every thought but yours. I rule my mind and offer it to you. Accept my gift, for it is yours to me. Right in alignment with what you're speaking. So thank you.
Breathing, yes. So does that fit with your query, Gary? Is that making
Yes.
sense? Is that?
Yes. Is this going to end up on YouTube? I'd like to listen to it about
Oh,
5
yes.
times and take notes. It's
Yep.
really exactly what it makes perfect sense. Exactly what I kind of was looking forward to hearing you speak, because you do it so well.
Well, in Aramaic, even you go to the word that has been translated as God, Allah. And again, we've made the same kind of transition from a direct relational cosmology to this transactional cosmology of our Greek-oriented mindset. And the word Allah is more closer to our word unity, connectedness, that which underlies all of creation and that we are all a part of. And again, the original idea of that grace linked to judgment was to bring the parts that seem to be separate back together. You bring in Einstein. It's, one of my favorite quotes from him is, if you think you're separate or separated from the rest of humanity, you're living in an optical delusion. And we live in a culture, this Western culture, that reinforces these optical delusions and gets everybody to pile on the wagon and create sides, as opposed to this underlying unity and the restoration, that there were those who were there to restore that unity, and then there were those who were stuck in that Western intellectual blame-based language and thinking system that, well, we're going to keep it separate, as opposed to the pastoral. Think about what does the shepherd do when the lamb out in the field? One of the other parables that Yeshua comes up with is like, go find it and bring it back, restore it to oneness, restore that lost sheep to the flock. And that's the implication of the word that we've translated as God, as this Allah, as this underlying unity that is really what makes us whole, the only thing that can make us whole.
Really nice. We've been doing a lot of, did you ever listen to Neville Goddard or read any of his stuff?
I'm aware of him, but not really, no.
We've been listening to a lot of his stuff lately. He lived in the 20s and 30s, but he had Abdullah was a guy who taught him, who was from Ethiopia, and in Ethiopia had been hidden these lost texts from the Bible that talk about how we're creators. And I'm sure they must be in Aramaic. And
yes.
And so that's where his stories come from. But what we've been doing a lot is just working on ourselves, beyond doing worksheets. But the worksheet process is in us already anyway, that process, and we follow it a lot. But going in and where I've been working on, where I feel like there's a situation that I had that wasn't right with somebody in my life, and going back and just making it right. And that idea, you said the judgment, that the resolution for judgment is making it right. And it just feels really good to be doing that, like a whole nother, and then being aware of the levels that come up of my own judgments. And I guess it's because of all this that I wanted to hear in the Stephen Davis book about what are we doing here? We're here to clear our judgments and to come back to unity, to come back to oneness, to come back to pure love, to come back to, our divine presence here.
When you rewatch this right at this point, and I don't know what the time is, but if you, up until you started this last piece of conversation, my observation would be that as you were talking about this restorative, making it right, there was breath in you. And as soon as you shifted your mind into the judgment aspect of it, breath left. And there's where the real restoration is. It's in the breath, because that's where the real intelligence is. That's where the real healing power is. And we separate from that, in the scriptures that's spoken about, except that the knowledge that it was about the restoration of the breath. The Greeks changed the language, and we don't talk about breath in this New Testament. What we talk about is this disembodied ghost that comes out of the sky, that if you meet somebody's standards, you get to have this Holy Spirit. There's no word spirit in the Aramaic. That anywhere that you see in the scriptures or in the Course of Miracles talking about spirit or the Holy Spirit, there's no word spirit in Aramaic. It's breath. And breath, it's like we have this mechanical belief about breath. Your lungs move, you got these bellows that work, and it brings in oxygen, and the oxygen supplies the blood cell, and you get to live. And if you stop breathing, you die. Well, that's probably about 10% of what the breath really means, because we've been separated from it. So when you hear the scriptures talking about the denial of the Holy Spirit is the unforgivable sin, all of a sudden we're right back into that fear-based separation theology, where in Aramaic, what it spoke of was or a proper translation of those words in Aramaic would be, those who hold their breath have denied the healing power that will create forgiveness within them. And therefore, they're stuck in unforgiveness. Not because there's any unforgivable sin, as the Greeks would, pound down our throats, but rather that the thing that, of course, the word sin in Aramaic simply meaning an archery term that means off the mark, that if we hold an energy that's off the mark somewhere in tissue, there's disease in that tissue. And the breath needs to be restored to that tissue to undo the disease process. If we don't allow it access, then we're stuck in unforgiveness. Not unforgivable, but unforgiveness. And so whatever is restorative of the breath is going to take us back to that state of wholeness, would be my take.
And so can you tie that in with releasing our judgments?
Yeah, you'll notice that, if you're doing a worksheet and you've identified the goal, you'll notice that one, there's a reminder right there in the worksheet to breathe, and that when you do cancel the goal and your structure starts to process that energy, notice that there's a restoration that takes place. There's a connectedness that takes place that replaces that separation. It's putting things back into alignment. The two keys for my take is for being whole is one, breath, and two, alignment. That if we're out of alignment, if physiologically this body mind unit is designed to be an antenna, it is an antenna. And if it's been damaged emotionally or physiologically, then the antenna being out of line, the energies it receives and functions out of, or the energies that it puts out into the world are going to be distorted now. They're going to be off base. They're going to be quote unquote sin, off the mark. And that when we forgive us to those energies and restore breath to that tissue, so that passage would be the holding of the breath is the error that leaves us stuck in unforgiveness. And what puts us right, puts us that judgment that we hold, that energy that's off the mark that we hold, what reconciles and brings us back into alignment is the restoration of alignment and the breath.
Can I make an offering on this, what you're talking about, Michael?
Go for it.
So I love what you said about how, everything, the judgments we hold, and what I see the whole purpose is to become whole, to become holy. And so the world or the universe is always wanting us to come back to that holiness or that expression. And so it gives us opportunities, the healing through the lens of the other or the eyes of the other. So my question to Carrie would be, on a deeper sense, because I'm just sitting here listening, is where is she in judgment with herself? Of course, if we're holding judgment towards other and we're triggered by it, or we have an upset around that, it's usually a trait we have in ourselves that we haven't identified and we haven't acknowledged and accepted within ourselves. And then it takes me to the power person dynamic, where was there in her patterning and when her start in life, was there judgment placed upon her? And so when we're under stress, we take on the power person dynamic. And of course, the three things you talk about, Michael, that happens for the power person. One, you have to be, the power person is coming from a non-being mind. You feel that you're in for survival in the moment. And then the person also had more power over you. And then we take in that energy, and then it goes into our energetic body. And then as we then come into maturity and adults, we are operating from that non-being mind unconsciously when we're under stress. And we don't even recognize. So I'd be curious to know for Carrie, if there was an element of judgment from a power person. And so it goes into automatic pilot without even being consciously aware of it. And when we're conscious, we know we want to come from love. That's just our natural state. But as the stress happens, do we find ourselves in high stress, taking on the coat of judgment? So yeah, I just wanted to offer that.
Yeah, that's nice. Good input. And yeah, there's
And are you
always
Breathing,
breathing? And then
breathing.
the next question would be to breathe into that, because I totally,
right.
we were in an interdependency to codependency interdependency group, and Michael, through the process, we did the power person worksheet, which I got to be the person doing it, and then Michael assisted, and I found probably 8 areas where I was unconsciously running the file of the power person that I was not aware of.
Nice.
Yeah, and it just, and then yet knowing my natural state of being is to be love.
Hmm.
That's who I am. And yet finding myself these non-being mind energies that are running the program was coming from my power person, what was
Yeah, an
implanted upon me.
ongoing process of unwinding all of
Absolutely.
that over
Yeah,
many years. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Gary, in your work that you're doing with the codependence uh, videos, have you come to the power person dynamic yet or the power person worksheet?
Yeah, I think we did. It's been a few months since we've been in it. Um, but yeah, I think that might have been right about where we stopped, actually. I'm not sure.
It's a place. It's a place where a lot of people want to stop. It's like, don't make me look at that power person dynamic.
Well, yeah, no, I don't have any problem with looking at it. It's just, yeah. I mean, we can go back and I can go back and start there just for, it's a nice point to say, where are whatever judgments I carry inside coming from. And, but I think,
Breathing.
yeah, I think more I'm looking at my life and well, I see that judgments are there, but I'm looking at situations. Well, of course, there is nobody else, right? If I think there's somebody else, then I am not looking inside myself. And so, so when I do look at these situations, I mean, I'm even going back and going through my parental processes, really daily, going back to places that have felt stuck in my life and bringing love into them and bringing a new way of relating to those situations, which feels
Uh,
really good to me. It feels like a good shift from old self-judgment that was there.
well, you would know for sure if you'd done the power person worksheet because it's a 19-page worksheet,
Oh yeah, I
and it's
remember.
really,
I
yeah,
probably didn't do that. Yeah, I remember it being very long and very,
yeah, it's really geared to get right down to, when we realize that perception is a construct of the mind, and you know we think we look out there with our eyes and see everything is in the room. Gee, there's a fan, there's a TV, there's my phone, there's a book, there's a set of curtains, but all of that we think we see out there is really painted on the inside of our eyeballs out of the firing of brain cells.
right.
And then out of the firing of brain cells comes the way we feel, what our emotional tone is and what the set is. And so the objective that I had in designing that, the reality management forgiveness worksheet is, okay, I have a single issue here. I have a goal and I'm going to break through this one. But the power person dynamic is really to take a deep dive into what are the depth of complex mind energies that go into me holding my breath in this situation or that and breaking them down piece by piece. So you might find that kind of ties in with this idea of freeing yourself of judgment and getting back to reconciliation.
And then when you go
And
Nice.
back and
reconciliation.
listen, and just listening back to the video to your regulatory speech, when Michael was talking about the Power Person Dynamic Workbook, and that will be a clue for you when you were speaking, Carrie.
Thanks.
So breathing with you and holding a space for clarity in every arena
Yep.
for the work you're doing and the way you're impacting the world.
Yeah. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the thoughts. I think they're really good. I'll go back and take a look at that. Sometimes for me, it's just process. It's a little too much. And I like to come at it from some different angles,
Sure.
bathe myself in a knowing of, of where I'm getting to. And sometimes the process is very heady and it's just, I just like doing it some other ways too. So, but I
Sure.
really
Yeah.
appreciate your,
Yeah.
I appreciate your method, obviously, because 45 years of knowing your method, it's really good. And I love it. And I like working with maybe some other more kind of right brain processes too, with knowing
Yeah.
that in there as well.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think that, you tie it together with breath and energy field work and all sorts of tools that bring it all together. And for me, the intellectual journey is an important piece of the puzzle because once the intellect becomes involved, it doesn't shut up until its last question is answered. It's like the purpose of it is to get the hell out of the way. And, you've probably heard me say it before, there is no healing until we are out of our minds. When one really wants to heal, you got to be out of your mind. You got to free yourself from the constructs of the mind. And that's the objective of, doing the intellectual part. Okay, answer the question. Now it shuts up. Now we get on with the real thing. The depth of energy, the depth of breath,
And
the
I
depth
love
of wholeness that comes forward in truth.
Yeah, and I love because I find now, because when I went to Dr. Ryce, I just met Dr. Ryce or Michael in May. I went to his workshop, and you should have saw me there with the worksheet because this is ridiculous, and why would anyone this freaking worksheet and he really it was pretty funny because I was in such resistance of that worksheet. Like, oh my gosh, that whole course, and I could just feel my non-being mind energy. So of course now it's feeling much more ingrained. And the part that I love the most because it helps me get to the place, and Peter Levine says this doing somatic work, healing comes when you follow the sensation, not the story. So I find when I do the worksheet, it parks the mind. Giving it thought forms in the beginning to identify the object of my attention and then see the thought disorder and then going into the body and following the sensation. And that really seems to open up a lot of space for the healing because I spent so much time in my life living outside my body, didn't follow sensation, and I was very intellectual because that was a survival strategy. I thought if I could just figure out the world, what's going on, and then moving into the somatic experience of being in the body, huge. And the power person worksheet and stuff was really helpful. And the other one that I find amazing for me is, I've said this, if you'd be listening to the interdependency work, is the responsibility communication. And the process of just following the sensation on the body and doing the cleaning before I do responsibility communication with others. For me, that's helped me really see the power person dynamic and collapsing that. I found that just so effective. So I just wanted to say that.
Good stuff.
And breathing.
Yes. So, hey, Michael, let me just share really quick. Thank you so much for the process. Always, there's always a process when we're talking, and I appreciate it very much. I appreciate the messages from Susan too. And so I'm working on a book about insulin resistance, and about 80% of Americans are insulin resistant, or people in the modern world, I should say, partly because we can eat all the time. And so we've kind of lost we've lost the times when we go into lower glucose levels and give the body a chance to recover. So I'm actually really
Powerful.
excited. really excited about it. It's like I can be eating good food all the time, but if I'm eating too much of the time, and I should get this book out pretty quick. I think I'm pretty much close to done with it, and I should have it up on Amazon within a couple weeks in Kindle. It's going to be called Fasting and Keto: The Path to Lean, Fit, Well-Being. And I've got a subtitle, Feast Without Fear: How I Stopped Dieting and Started Thriving. I've also got Feasting Without Fear: How I Reversed Insulin Resistance, Stopped Dieting and Started Thriving. So one of the things I've seen with a lot of my friends who've been vegan, vegetarian for many years, and into natural foods and healthy living, I'm seeing a lot of people ending up with ailments, as the years have gone by, and ailments that really are a product of insulin resistance. And it started happening to me. And I started having to ask myself these questions and really dig in. I just started studying, and one day it just hit me over the head like a ton of bricks. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I started putting so many pieces together. I thought I need to put this into a format that other people can read it and get it. And I'm really excited about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I would like to know more about it, so please keep me posted.
I will.
And
As
it's
soon as
ready
I've
to
got
roll.
it. Yeah, as soon as I've got it, basically the manuscript basically done, I'll just send you a PDF and you can give it a glance.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm really happy. I'm excited to share it, and I feel compassion for, I'm watching a little grandniece who's 11, who's starting to get heavy, because of stress in her life. And I'm just thinking, and seeing it in my friends, I'm seeing one ailment after another. And I'm realizing it's not just what we're eating, it's how we're eating. And
Yeah.
it's a really powerful pulling back from it's kind of like the gluttony of this culture. I mean, I hate to use that word, but we have food everywhere, in the gas station, in the fast food restaurants, and then everything, kind of the rules that I'm coming up with are no refined or processed foods, no processed vegetable oils except olive oil and coconut oil, at least 5 hours between meals, and an intermittent fasting window of 12 to 14 to 16 hours every day. And it's just amazing. And I still at heart am vegan vegetarian, but over 55 years of that, I've craved more protein. And now I'm starting to understand why, and figuring out ways to accomplish that for myself in a way that works for me spiritually, so to speak. And yeah, so that's it.
Awesome. Well, that's cool. And as Susan's asking, Susan B, is she wants to know how to get it without using Amazon. So I don't know if you're going to be shipping the book, if you've got a shipper that's going to be shipping it from the US, or
You know what? I'll have it on my website. Basically, I'll have I publish on Amazon because it's easy for me. I don't go through other publishing channels just because I can put it up myself. It's up in days, and then I can put it on Kindle there. So you'll be able to get it on Kindle, and you can order an ebook from me at my website. I have two websites. I'm actually just finishing and putting out a really amazing, awesome, which I'll definitely put you and Jeannie in, Michael, a course. My website for that is called ketosuper.life. No .com, it's .life. So ketosuper.life. And then my other website is called yoursuper.life, which has to do with my books on 21st century superhuman. Somebody have a question? I heard a voice. So you'll be able to order, I don't know, for a really moderate price, order the ebook from my website sometime in the next, probably by March 1st, somewhere in there.
cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. And I feel like it's I can walk up to people and say, oh, you've got this, you should be eating this, but it isn't just you should be eating this. It's here's a pattern that could help change your lifestyle that could really help you get well. And the body knows how to get itself well. That's what's really awesome. And we have cultivated habits to get in the way. And I'll say, like you say, the breath, I'll say, stop eating. We use food as a plug for the pain we feel, the cortisol, our stress, our not breathing. And yeah. So anyway,
Cool. Sweet. Well, I'll look forward to seeing it. Thank you. Thank you for what you do. And is 21st Century Superhuman still out there available?
it is. It's on Amazon. It's funny because I use such long titles. I have 21st Century Superhuman, and there's Shift of the Ages is the first book, Mind is the second book, Spirit is the third book, and Body is the fourth book. And I pulled Body back out of publishing a few years ago because I realized I was learning so much. And I just said to my husband the other day, until right now, I was not ready to rewrite Body because I feel like I am so much more clear on things I've understood partially over the years. And yeah, so it's available on Amazon. The ebooks are on Amazon. It's just a little hard to find. If you have type in 21st Century Superhuman, you can find them. And also, if you go to my website, all the links are there, which are easy to access from there. And I'm trying to build more ways people can access my stuff. So I shouldn't say I'm trying. Yoda says there is no try, it's do or do not. So I'm working on ways to help people access my stuff better. And I'm really excited about what I'm producing. I'm watching friends dropping off the planet and I'm thinking, man, I'm just getting going. I've got so much that I still want to get done and make available to people that I think is super important for us taking the next step into the golden age of enlightenment, which we can be living in now.
I hear you. I just said those exact words. Actually, my brother just retired. And I said, yeah, like, I'm just getting started. We're just getting rocking here.
That's
So
right.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's carry on.
Awesome. Awesome.
Unintended.
Well, yes, I got it. That's really cute. I send you and Jeannie so much love and everybody in your community, everybody here today. I'm so thankful to be part of this amazing tribe of awake people on the planet. And just thank you all for your lives and your blessings in being here.
All right. Extending love in your direction too.
Thanks.
And tell your other half we said hello and send our love.
He's actually sitting here listening. He's
Oh,
bowing
cool.
back. All right.
All right. Take care. Blessings.
Thanks. Ciao.
Oh. All right. Well, we've still got 5 minutes left. How's everybody doing? Anyone have a thought for us?
I want to check in with Terry how he's doing since from last night.
Yeah, Terry got some deep stuff in last night's session. How do you be, Terry?
Hello.
Hey, welcome.
Yes.
Glad you're here.
Me too. I'm full of appreciation for you folks for being there and holding the space last night. And it had been building up for about 3 or 4 days, and just in that space. And then, wow, it just really popped last night. And hold on, got a whole thing going on here. All right, good. I think so. Sorry.
We got you loud and clear.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm doing good. It's a very, very clear and beautiful breakthrough, if I could use that word. And the feelings that the sensations that were being released and moving were surprising and yet not surprising. I appreciated the conversation today about the the resistance and the process, you know, and the mind is all, my mind is always offering up I like to still use that analogy, the acronym JOB, judgments, opinions, and beliefs. This is like, it's a constant job of the ego to come up with all this chitter chatter. And no matter how many times I experience the beautiful healing and release and the joy, it comes right back at me. You know, it's like, oh, well, you know, maybe you don't need to be here. Maybe you're this, it's not, you know, really working. Or maybe this, all that little chitter chatter comes up. And I would reiterate that the worksheets, the sheer volume of worksheets, and I love this, and you've heard me say it before about checking the box, where I allow myself to be wrong, let go of the need to be right. Check that box, check that box, check that box, check that box. And it does soften the resistance through the repetitive work and action of allowing that process to come up. So there you go. I'm doing great. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you.
Awesome. Nice to hear the enthusiasm in your voice.
Yeah, a little different than it was last night.
Yeah, you're obviously on the other side of it. Yeah. And I liked the worksheet that you posted on your Substack.
Yeah, you know, that's a continuation of, I still remember back in, it was 2001 or 2002, when I was in my kitchen in Florida, and I had your book and one of Greg Braden's books and one of Walter Starkey's books, and I was mapping it out on my big whiteboard, and it's like, oh yeah, I could really identify the similarities as opposed to the differences. It was like, oh, we're all trying to say the same thing here, and each person was using their understanding of language and all to try to convey their experience and feelings to each other. So that worksheet is kind of a continuation of that. It's like, okay, well, there's a lot of us out here saying the same thing. It just sounds different. So let's take a look at it.
Cool. Yeah, well, it's nice to see the different pieces that you assembled in there. And I'm just, do you have I'm just looking, and I don't think I have a link I can instantly put my hand on or my finger on.
I don't know how to do that.
Well, have you got a link to it that you could just paste in the chat?
No, I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how to create a link to it.
Okay.
I'm working on that. I got the PDF. I've got a Word doc, but as far as creating a link, that I think that I need to be cloud-based somehow, as opposed to, you know, you can't really come in and access my computer to pull up the link. Or
Actually, you got to post it in your Facebook page. You can just create a link to the Facebook page.
Post a PDF.
Yeah, if you post it and then go to your Facebook page and hit the three buttons up in the corner and just say copy link, then that link you can share with anybody and they can just jump on Facebook and get it. But I would think you'd also have a...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I would think you'd also have a link to your Substack, though.
Yeah, that's the one I've been focusing on.
So have you got that link handy? You can just put it in the chat and everybody have access to it?
No, I have not. I haven't gotten to where I can do that yet. I'm working on creating a link in the Substack so that it will open that PDF. So I might get with you on a little tutorial later on both of those options, or definitely the Facebook option.
Okay, cool. So we'll check on it and see if we can get it up there tomorrow then.
All right, thank you.
Cool. All right. Well, anybody else got a last minute thought for us? Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Blessings. Bye-bye.